He had her sitting in a vehicle, waiting. He tried to strangle her. It didn't work out. He couldn't stomach it. And so then he later went and shot her in the chest. And then he proceeded to discard the body by taking the body and putting it transporting it into a dumpster.
This is the story of Iana Sawyer, a 16-year-old girl who went missing in Jacksonville, Florida, in 2018. She was 5 months pregnant at the time of her disappearance, and her family was desperate to find her. But what they didn't know was that the father of her unborn child was her own uncle, Jonathan Quiles, 38, who had been abusing her for months. And he had a sinister plan to get rid of her and the baby. Hello and welcome to Twisted Crimes. Subscribe and hit the like button for more stories.
New information has been released by prosecutors. Our Shelby Danielson has been going through it. We want to warn you, you might find the information disturbing.
Iana Sawyer was born on June 6, 2002, in Jacksonville, Florida. She was the youngest of 4 siblings. She grew up in a close-knit family that supported her dreams and aspirations. She attended Terry Parker High School, where she was a sophomore and a good student. She was described by her family and friends as a beautiful, smart, talented, and loving girl. She had a passion for music and dance, and she participated in several school events and competitions. She dreamed of becoming a singer or a dancer someday, and she admired artists like Beyoncé and Rihanna. Jonathan Quiles was born on June 6, 1985, in Puerto Rico. He moved to Jacksonville when he was 18 years old and married Naomi Mobley, who was Iana's aunt by marriage. They had 3 children together. Jonathan worked as a mechanic at Ace Pick-a-Part, a junkyard in Jacksonville. He was also a devout Christian who attended church regularly. Jonathan met Iana when she was about 10 years old, and they developed a close relationship as uncle and niece. Jonathan often helped Iana with her homework, gave her rides to school, and bought her gifts. He also became a father figure to Iana, who did not have a stable relationship with her biological father. However, behind this seemingly innocent bond, there was a dark and sinister secret. Jonathan began to sexually abuse Iana when she was 15 years old, in 2017. He manipulated her into believing that he loved her more than his wife and that they were meant to be together. He also threatened to harm her or himself if she ever told anyone about their affair. He sent her text messages saying that he was just so in love with her that he would kill her and cry, and that she was stuck with him until she died.
9/7/2018, 12:21. Yeah, so I need you to be like 100% with me at all times. I'm just so in love with you, I'll kill you and cry.
He also said that he loved her way too much to let her go. Iana was confused and scared by Jonathan's behavior, but she also felt attached to him and hoped that he would leave his wife for her. He did not stop abusing Iana. He also preyed on Iana's sister, who was 14 years old at the time. He started to molest her in 2018, around the same time that he impregnated Iana. He also convinced Iana to have an abortion when she became pregnant with his child. He gave abortion pills to Iana, but she wanted to continue with the pregnancy. Jonathan's abuse of his nieces went unnoticed by his wife and other family members for months. He managed to hide his tracks by deleting his text messages, using different phones, and lying about his whereabouts. He also used his religious image and his authority as an uncle to gain their trust and silence. On December 19, 2018, Iana left her school during her lunch period. She told her friends that she was going to meet someone named Jose, which was a pseudonym used by Iana's sister for Jonathan to keep his identity a secret. He was supposed to take Iana away from her problems. She got into her car, a red Honda Civic, and drove out of the school parking lot. Iana's family reported her missing later that day when she did not come home or answer their calls. They also learned that she was 5 months pregnant. They suspected that Jonathan had something to do with her disappearance, but they did not know where he could have taken her. The police launched an investigation into Iana's case, but they faced many challenges. They had no witnesses who saw Iana leave the school or get into another vehicle. They had no surveillance footage that captured her movements. They had no leads on where she could have gone or who she could have met. They also had no idea that Jose was actually Jonathan Quiles. The police did not give up on finding Iana. They interviewed her family, friends, classmates, and teachers. They searched her car, her phone, her social media accounts, and her belongings. They also issued a statewide alert for her and asked the public for any information that could help locate her. As they dug deeper into Iyanna's case, they began to uncover some disturbing clues. They found out that Iyanna had been sexually active with an older man, and that she had been receiving threatening messages from him. They also discovered that Iyanna had confided in her sister about her relationship with Jonathan and that her sister had also been abused by him. The police then focused their attention on Jonathan as a person of interest in Iyanna's disappearance. They questioned him several times, but he denied any involvement or knowledge of what happened to her.
Nearly 5 months since a local pregnant high school student disappeared, we're now seeing newly released evidence involving the prime suspect, her uncle.
So many of you have been reading this story on news4jax.com all day. These are still the last images of 15-year-old Iyanna Sawyer. Surveillance shows her leaving Terry Parker High School before she vanished December 3rd. Sawyer's uncle, Jonathan Quiles, is in the Duval County Jail on unrelated sexual battery charges, but police say he is a suspect in her pregnancy and disappearance. New details have just been released by the state attorney's office. News4Jax reporter Janice Harris has been reading through the information. Janice, what have you found?
Joy, a lot of information has been found. Quiles is in jail for a sexual battery charge on the missing teens for one of the missing teens' relatives. But police also question him about Iyanna Sawyer's disappearance.
It's January 8th, 2019. Jonathan Quiles sits in an interrogation room wearing work clothes as he waits for detectives. That same day, he was arrested and charged with sexual battery with a minor. That minor is related to missing teen Iyanna Sawyer. Sawyer is Quiles' niece. Quiles told investigators that he was accused of sexual assault by family members when he told them to stop causing conflict with his wife.
Because this is a sister matter type of deal, I can't do it no more. I'm done with it.
He recalls the accusations.
That I think Jonathan has been inappropriate with. Now, they question them girls separately, together, and it's been, nope, he's never been inappropriate with me.
The investigator explains that she is handling a missing persons case. The missing person is Iyanna Sawyer. They found a love note on her computer. They believe it is about Quiles.
And so they're finding stuff on the computer that she's authoring that's implying a sexual relationship with you. Almost like a love affair.
The detectives tell Quiles they have also found his DNA, but it's not clear if it's tied to Sawyer or someone else.
So there would be no reason to have any of your DNA?
Nope. Nope, not at all.
Investigators ask Quiles about Sawyer. Quiles explains he doesn't know where Iyanna Sawyer is located.
I have no idea where to find her. She never told me anything about running away. And I can't give you any information I don't have about her, period.
He claimed that he had a normal and platonic relationship with Iyanna. He also said that he was at work on the day that Iyanna went missing and that he had an alibi to prove it. However, the police did not buy his story. They obtained his phone records, which showed that he had been in contact with Iyanna on the day of her disappearance and that he had deleted some of his messages. They also checked his work records, which showed that he had clocked out early on that day and that he had taken a red minivan from the junkyard without permission. The police then tracked down the red minivan, which was found abandoned in a wooded area near Jonathan's home. They searched the vehicle and found traces of blood and DNA that matched Iyanna's. They also found a bullet hole in the back seat and a spent shell casing nearby. The police then arrested Quiles on January 10, 2019, and charged him with murder in the death of Iyanna Sawyer and her unborn child.
This missing 16-year-old pregnant high schooler's body has never been found, but her uncle has been charged in her murder. And tonight we're getting a look at hundreds of photos, pages of evidence, and interviews.
We met with the grand jury today on your case as well as several others, and you are being indicted on first-degree murder.
Our team has been looking through these photos, videos, and documents all evening.
And It includes that video of Jonathan Quiles talking with investigators that you just saw. News for Jax reporter Janice Harris taking the lead on these documents. And Janice, I know you've been reporting on this case since Ayanna went missing in December of 2018, I should say. So tell us about the new tidbits that we're learning tonight.
Yeah, it's difficult information to review, but the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office has spent endless hours investigating and searching for evidence that would help tell police what happened to Ayanna Sawyer before, during, and after her murder.
Hundreds of photos and page after page of evidence, but still 16-year-old pregnant Ayanna Sawyer's body has not been found. New discovery evidence shows that investigators went here to Ace Pick Apart, a vehicle salvage business on North Main Street. Police searched through 300 tons of trash debris, 5,529 tons of trash debris as well. It's the same business where Jonathan Quiles worked. Quiles sits in jail accused of murdering Sawyer, his niece, who police believe was pregnant with his child. These photos show just some of the evidence found at Quiles' job, pieces of paper and underwear. While police are searching for clues, they gathered enough evidence to charge Quiles with murder. This video shows the moment.
We've met before. My name is Detective Adam. This is Detective Guthrie. I've got some new information to give you. That's why we brought you over today. All right. We met with the grand jury today on your case as well as several others, and you are being indicted on first degree murder. The third count is going to be sexual battery. Okay? We need to advise you of that.
Okay.
All right. We would like to talk to you if you're willing to speak with us.
I have an attorney that's representing me, but she doesn't want me to talk to nobody without her being present.
That's fine. I respect that.
DNA evidence has also been obtained. In this red Mercury car, police found blood, and they also obtained a 2006 Buick Lucerne. In a pile of debris, a Terry Parker High School library book was found from the same school that Ayanna Sawyer attended. No one has seen her since the last day she walked out of school and was never found.
We want to hear your side of the story. Where's Ayanna? Now's your chance. Where's Ayanna?
Any questions, you could talk to my lawyer.
Who's your lawyer?
Christine Michelle.
Okay. Well, do you have details about where she is?
I can't discuss anything at this time.
Are you telling the detectives, the investigators?
I can't discuss anything at this time.
Did you impregnate her?
Can't discuss anything at this time.
What about a message for her family? They're obviously going through hell right now. She's missing. Nobody knows where she is.
I can't discuss anything. Any questions, you could go ahead and contact my lawyer. She'll be more than happy to answer any questions you guys got.
Are you forthcoming with everybody?
Again, I have no comment.
Jonathan pleaded not guilty to the murder charges and maintained his innocence throughout his trial. His defense team argued that the evidence against him was circumstantial and unreliable and that there was no proof that Ayanna was dead or that he had killed her. They also suggested that Ayanna could have run away with someone else, or that she could have been kidnapped by a stranger. However, the prosecution presented a strong case against Jonathan, based on the physical evidence. The most damning testimony came from Jonathan's own brother, Joseph Quiles, who told the court that Jonathan had confessed to him that he had shot Ayanna in the head, put her body in a dumpster, and ditched her car. Joseph also said that Jonathan had asked him to help him get rid of the evidence, but he refused.
Explosive testimony in court during the Jonathan Quiles murder trial.
He tried to strangle her. It didn't work out. He couldn't stomach it. And so then he later went, shot her in the chest.
That was Joseph Quiles on the stand today.
He was testifying against his younger brother, 38-year-old Jonathan Quiles. Police say back in 2018, Jonathan Quiles killed his wife's 16-year-old niece, Ayanna Sawyer, after getting the teen pregnant. And then prosecutors say he dumped her body, which was never found. News for Jax reporter Eric Avanier joining us now live outside the Duval County Courthouse, where the jury not only heard testimony from Quiles' brother, but also a jailhouse recording, Eric.
And Kent, an attorney not affiliated with this case, says that jailhouse recording is an example of how anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. And in this case, that recording sounds a lot like a confession. When Joseph Quillis took the witness stand, he told the court he was living in New York when his younger brother, Jonathan Quillis, called him and said he got 16-year-old Ayanna Sawyer pregnant. Sawyer was his wife's niece. Joseph Quillis told the court that his brother told him he did not want to ruin his family. Then he said his brother eventually confessed to something even more disturbing.
He then said that he took the young lady and he had her sitting in a vehicle. He picked her up. He had her sitting in a vehicle, waiting. He tried to strangle her. It didn't work out. He couldn't stomach it. And so then he later went and shot her in the chest. And then he proceeded to discard the body by taking the body and putting it transporting it into a dumpster and destroying the vehicle.
Knowing Sawyer was reported missing, Joseph Quillis called the police and told them what his brother said.
I made the decision based upon it's not about the brotherhood, it's about a missing young girl.
Another testimony came from 2 jail inmates who shared a cell with Jonathan while he was awaiting trial. They said that Jonathan had admitted to them that he had killed Ayanna because she was pregnant with his child, and that he had disposed of her body in a landfill.
The court also heard an audio recording of a conversation between Jonathan Quillis and 2 other inmates inside the Duval County Jail. One of those 2 inmates was wearing a wire.
Did you tell your brother before you did it or after you did it? No. This is after the fact that she was missing. Why were they pointing the finger at you? Because of my brother.
During the recorded conversation, questions were asked about the victim.
Well, you didn't think she was going to tell. Why did you kill her, though? If you didn't think she was going to tell, or you just felt like it was going to hit the fan and later on, she was pregnant. You did the right thing. I won't leave my wife either. You did the right thing. You should have told your brother. You should have just went to New York and killed him.
And then there was a question about dumping the body.
Who helped you? Who helped you get rid of the body? All right.
On September 21, 2023, after 6 days of trial and about an hour of deliberations, the jury found Jonathan guilty of first-degree murder in the death of Ayanna and her unborn child. He was also found guilty of sexual battery on a minor for abusing Ayanna's sister. He now faces a possible death sentence or life imprisonment without parole.
Guilty on all counts. That's what a jury decided for 38-year-old Jonathan Quillis after deliberating less than an hour.
He's the 38-year-old Jacksonville man now convicted of impregnating and killing his 16-year-old niece. Ayanna Sawyer was last seen in December of 2018. Her body has never been found. Tonight, her family released a statement which reads, "Today, a nearly 5-year nightmare ends with another measure of justice. We thank the jury, the attorneys, law enforcement, and judge, as well as all of our friends and family who reached out when we need it most." Jonathan Quillis has now been found guilty of murder and will go back before a jury to determine his fate on earth, but he chose to end Ayanna's young life. He was a predator, and the jury saw that with ease. We are grateful.
News for Jax reporter Ariel Schiller was in the courtroom when that verdict was read today. Ariel, how did the family react in that moment?
One of her family members hunched over in tears, which is understandable considering the long process for this case. We spoke with John Phillips, the family's lawyer, following the verdict. He says this case is proof that the justice system works.
State of Florida versus Jonathan Jacob Quillis, verdict count 1. We, the jury, found the defendant guilty of first-degree murder as charged in the indictment.
A verdict that Ayanna Sawyer's family has been waiting years for. Thursday, it took the jury for the Jonathan Quillis trial nearly 52 minutes to find him guilty on 2 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of sexual battery of his 16-year-old niece, Sawyer. John Phillips, the Sawyer family attorney, says this case shows the justice system works.
This was a case that was put together well. It was organized well, but you know, the word coincidence came up a lot today, right? And circumstantial. But at some point, accident and coincidence is just murder, and the jury saw through that, real quick.
Belkis Plata, a Jacksonville lawyer not associated with the case, watched the trial and says a quick verdict shows the state put together a case and a timeline that was hard for the defense to poke holes in.
From her leaving Terry Parker, from him leaving his job, From there being a red minivan that leaves the job for this period of time, the text messages to his brother, the conversations with the inmates, the Snapchats, I think everything together established there was a relationship, there was a motive behind wanting her not to be around.
Phillips says Ayanna's mother is grateful for the guilty verdict, but the situation is still painful.
Not having a body, not knowing where she rests, is a continued open wound. It will always be an open wound.
Sawyer's aunt describes Sawyer as, quote, the definition of if I can believe it, I can achieve it. And she says she was destined for greatness and would often play jokes on her siblings. Sawyer's sister said in her victim impact statement that she suffered mental instability since her sister's murder and that their lives were intertwined. Prosecutors say Quillis murdered Sawyer in 2018 to hide from their family that he got the 16-year-old pregnant. Sawyer had named her unborn daughter Hazel, and her aunt said she was excited to cook for the baby, who she believed already loved her cooking.
I watched my family completely fall apart over the years. There were so many ups and downs. This loss left a hole in our hearts that can never be filled. How do we move forward as a family? We kept our faith and awaited our day in court.
Ayanna's family also filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Jonathan, seeking damages for their emotional pain and suffering. They said that they hope to find closure and justice for Ayanna and her baby. Ayanna's case has shocked and saddened many people who knew her or followed her story. Her friends and classmates held vigils and memorials for her at her school and at her church. Her teachers and counselors remembered her as a bright and bubbly person. Our deepest condolences to the family of Ayanna Sawyer. May her soul continue to rest in peace.